It can be said that the Jewish people are a nation with an extremely unique destiny. They are frequently mentioned in the Bible as God's chosen people and are also regarded as one of the most intelligent nations in the world. However, throughout their long history of existence and development, the Jewish people have also endured a series of tragedies, including persecution, massacres, and exile. Nevertheless, Jewish cultural history has always contained a vibrant vitality, serving as a source of inspiration that has ignited a passion for exploration and research in countless scholars worldwide, from ancient times to the present. In the previous video, we explored the origins of the Palestinian people. So, in today's video, join us for 5 minutes to learn about the origins of the Jewish people, the tragic hardships they have endured throughout their history, and some of the challenges they face today. Before we begin the video, our team has a few small notes for everyone. Since the number of works written about Jewish people is immense, in this video, we will only summarize and present to the best of our ability. If there are any points that are lacking, we hope for your understanding and ask for your indulgence. Go it Saren. The Bible or Holy Scriptures are terms used to refer to the sacred texts of many different faiths, but they are most commonly used in the Abrahamic religions. Both Judaism and Christianity refer to their own sacred collection of books as the Bible. Jews call their Bible the Tanakh, a work comprising 24 books divided into 3 sections: the Law, Torah, the Prophets, Nevi, and the Writings, Ketuvim. It is a reliable document, but it is not the first to mention the name Israel. The name Israel first appeared on the Merneptah stele, which dates back to 1209 BCE, during the transition from the Late Bronze Age to the Early Iron Age. This stele was erected by Pharaoh Merneptah, the 5th pharaoh of the 19th dynasty of ancient Egypt. With clearly written place names such as Ascalon, Gezer, or Yenuam, Yetor is instead represented by a hieroglyph, alluding to a group of inhabitants living in the area of central Palestine or present-day Samaria. Israelite. The Israelites are often referred to as the direct descendants of the sons of the patriarch Jacob, who was later called Israel. His offspring formed a nation and were also collectively known as Israel, including those who converted to worship God. Is typically used to denote the direct ancestors of the Israelites who lived in the land of Canaan, specifically the Israelites and their descendants, including both Jews and Samaritans. Israelite, the formation of a chosen people of God. When discussing the history of the Jewish people, one cannot overlook their faith and historical origins. For it is these two remarkable and rare elements that have enabled them to maintain their unity through thousands of years of dispersion across the globe. The birth of faith. The Jewish people originate from the ancient Hebrews, who emerged in the Middle East approximately 4,000 years ago. According to legend, both Jews and Arabs are descendants of Abraham, and Abraham was the name given to him at birth. He was the one who answered God's call, leaving his homeland in Ur of northern Mesopotamia, now located in southeastern Turkey, to settle in the land of Canaan, present-day Palestine, a strip of land stretching from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean coast. Around 2000 BC, according to the book of Exodus in the Bible, Abraham and his family left their homeland in Ur to settle in Haran. At this place, Abraham saw God in a dream and was shown the way to the land of Canaan by him. The history of the Jewish people originates from the very story of Abraham's family. They formed a clan, which then developed into a tribe, and finally settled, putting down roots in that place to become a people. That people is the Jewish people. According to the Bible, God created the world and then created humanity. The first humans he created were named Adam and Eve. The descendants of Adam and Eve were Noah. Noah's eldest son was Shem, who is the ancestor of both Jewish and Arab people. Therefore, the term Semei was coined to collectively refer to Jews and Arabs, meaning those who are descendants of Shem. Abraham was a descendant of Shem. Later, because Sarah was childless, Abraham married Hagar as his second wife, even though he had previously laughed at Sarah. Hagar asked Abraham for a son, and Ishmael was born. At the same time, his first wife was fortunate to become pregnant and gave birth to Isaac. Then, Sarah wanted Abraham to expel Hagar and Ishmael from the tribe. The Quran of Islam originally had many similarities with the Old Testament of the Bible, but from this point onward, a separation began and distinct differences started to form. According to the Quran, Ishmael came to Mecca. His descendants subsequently thrived and multiplied throughout the Arabian Peninsula, becoming the followers of Islam. The descendants of Isaac continued to live in Canaan and became the ancestors of the Hebrews. Later, they were called Israelites, then Jews, and in Vietnamese, they are commonly referred to collectively as the Jewish people. Over the centuries, Muslims and Jews, despite sharing common origins, have maintained a persistent animosity between them. Could this be the curse that God has destined for the fate of the Jews and the Arabs? Returning to the story of Abraham's family. After Abraham passed away, the mantle of leadership was passed to his son Isaac, and then subsequently to Jacob, the son of Isaac. Then, Jacob fathered 12 sons. In total, all of them, from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob down to Jacob's 12 sons, are called the patriarchs, who are the ancestors of the Jewish people. Isharon, one who struggles with God. From that point on, the Hebrews were called B'nai Yisrael, meaning the descendants of Yisrael, and they also became known as the Israelites. Flown through the course of history and originating from the patriarch Abraham, the monotheistic faith and the Jewish people gave rise to the three largest and most influential religions in the world. Originating from Judaism, which formed around 5500 BC. Subsequently, Christianity was founded by Jesus Christ in the mid-1st century as a branch of Judaism. Later, Islam was established by the Prophet Muhammad in the 6th century. Although not originating directly from Judaism or Christianity, Islam considers itself the complete successor and the final religion following these two faiths. The emergence of the three major religions, along with their sacred texts such as the Bible, has produced the most widely read books of all time. The Torah of Judaism, also known as the Old Testament in Christianity, is a source of inspiration for 14 million Jewish adherents and 2 billion Christians, and is also referenced in the Quran for 1.5 billion Muslims. The land of Canaan, corresponding to present-day Palestine, lies at the crossroads of civilizations, connecting three continents: Asia, Europe, and Africa. If we believe today that humankind originated from Africa, the Dark Continent, then the common ancestors of Asians and Europeans must have passed through this land. As empires rose one after another, Canaan became a strategically vital location. This land served as a corridor between the sea and the desert, forming a unique and essential route for merchant caravans and conquering armies traversing vast territories. Along the dusty roads of Palestine, the relentless cycle of brutal battles has transformed this land into both a curse and a blessing for the small nations that call it home. Among these peoples were the ancestors of both Jews and Palestinians. Much like the Palestinians, very little physical evidence of the ancient Jews remains today. Most of our understanding about them comes from the Torah, a religious document with historical reference value, though it itself has many limitations. A compelling hypothesis currently suggests that the ancient Jews, whom we refer to as Hebrews, were actually the descendants of the patriarch Jacob and the result of a mixture between the Canaanites and the Habiru or the Shashu Bedouin people. They are people originating from the Mesopotamia region. Over time, they appear to have established the foundations of a civilization, with their own distinct language and writing system, which is Hebrew. The Canaanites developed the world's first consonant alphabet around the 17th or 18th century BC. Other hypotheses suggest that the ancestors of the Isan people originated from nomadic communities. These nomadic groups were ethnically distinct. However, the Habiru and the Shashu, who are recorded in Egyptian texts as having been active in the regions of Edom and Canaan, were most likely related to the later Israelites. And the name Yahweh, the God of the later Israelites, most likely refers to a connection with the mountainous region of Seir in Edom. Thus, modern-day Jews may originate from two main lineages, one being migrants from Mesopotamia, and the other being nomadic tribes originating from Akkad. However, most scholars and Issaran documents tend to favor the hypothesis that they were migrant inhabitants from Mesopotamia. Through 4,000 years of building and defending the nation, our history is an epic of turbulence and glory. Throughout the 2nd millennium BC, the land of Canaan, corresponding to the area of present-day Palestine, was influenced by several major powers such as Egypt to the south, and Babylon and Mesopotamia to the north. Major powers possess advanced military technology and extensive trade networks. Therefore, a vast region around the Mediterranean Sea spanning three continents, Asia, Europe, and Africa, was profoundly influenced by them in every aspect, from material values like art and architecture to spiritual life. The migration lasted for 400 years. In the land of Canaan, 100 years after the time of Abraham, around 1700 BC during the era of Jacob, Canaan was struck by crop failure and famine. Consequently, the Jewish people were once again forced to migrate in search of new lands. At that time, the region of Achab, with its fertile alluvial soil deposited by the Nile, had become the great rice granary of the Mediterranean. It also served as a promised land for neighboring peoples seeking refuge whenever they faced calamities or famine. The entire Jacob clan, consisting of approximately 70 people, migrated to Achab. What was initially thought to be a refugee journey lasting only a few harvest seasons unexpectedly stretched out for 400 years. Jacob's 12 sons settled in the region of Goshen, the fertile land of Achab. The Rakhine people transitioned from a nomadic lifestyle to a settled, agricultural one. Over time, the initial group of 70 migrants grew to hundreds of thousands, becoming a source of concern for the Rakhine that the expansion of this community could be detrimental to their country. Later, the pharaohs turned their backs, persecuting and exploiting the Jews as slaves. Documents never mention the presence of Jews along the Lin River. Even the capital city is not referenced throughout the 400 years between the time of Joseph, Jacob. However, that does not prove the absence of Rohingya people in Achab. Amidst the profound suffering of Jewish enslavement, a miraculous event occurred like a divine wonder, liberating this nation from oppression. This was the emergence of Moses around the 15th to 14th century BCE. According to the biblical account, Moses was an outstanding leader who guided the Jewish people on their exodus from Egypt to return to the land of Canaan. Here, they lived alongside neighboring peoples, the Phoenicians to the north, and to the east, the Arabs and other Semitic nomadic tribes. Already fragile ethnic order in Canaan. They were the Philistines, an advanced people who settled along the southern coast of Canaan. They are considered the predecessors of today. The Book of Judges and the Book of Joshua describe the early life of the Jews after their return to Canaan as an agricultural society, organized in a tribal and egalitarian structure. The Rotai people organized their society around a loose republican governing system called Eda, which functions similarly to an association or council. The boundaries between tribes changed over time, primarily due to conflicts with neighboring tribes. Internal border disputes are extremely rare occurrences. However, Sour Dog alludes obliquely to the secession of the southern and northern tribes. Initially, the Jews had no king. They were united solely by their covenant with God. From around 5200 BC to 1047 BC, the Rotai tribes lived primarily on agriculture and animal husbandry. They were organized and governed not by a state model, but by a patriarchal system. From 1043 to 1010 BC, Sao-un became the first king of the unified kingdom of Assyrian. Next was King David, the son-in-law of King Saul, who reigned from 1002 to 970 BC. Then came King Solomon, son of King David, who reigned from 970 to 931 BC. The reign of Solomon is considered a period of great prosperity and peace. From a canonical perspective, the Torah was transcribed into written form during the reign of King Solomon. In terms of national development, Solomon divided the kingdom into 12 administrative regions and built it into a prosperous center. My family had to live apart for the first time. After King Solomon passed away, the unified kingdom of Israel was divided into two separate kingdoms. The southern kingdom of Judah established Jerusalem as its capital, and this was also the location of the Temple of Jerusalem. To the north lies the kingdom of Assyrian, with its capital established at the city of Samaria. This kingdom held control over the territories of Samaria, Galilee, and a portion east of the Jordan River. By 720 BC, the northern kingdom of Israel had been invaded by the Assyrian Empire, a Mesopotamian power located near the headwaters of the Tigris River, with its capital at Nineveh. All 10 tribes of the northern kingdom of Assyrian were slaughtered, exiled, and erased from history. And this event went down in history as the 10 lost tribes. The southern kingdom of Judah, though it lasted longer, was also forced into subservience to the Assyrians. Finally, it was destroyed by the invading armies of the Neo-Babylonian Empire in 586 BCE. The city of Jerusalem was severely devastated, and the sacred temple was completely destroyed, leaving only ruins behind. The people of the kingdom of Judah were either killed or exiled to Mesopotamia, particularly concentrated in the capital city of Babylon. This event marked the first exile of the ancient Jewish people and also brought an end to the First Temple period. From this point, the fate of the Jewish people was nearly destroyed, and their faith had to endure an extremely severe trial. The Second Temple period was a significant era in Jewish history, spanning approximately 600 years. This period began with the reconstruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in the 6th century BCE, following the return of the Jewish people from the Babylonian exile, and ended with the temple's destruction by the Roman Empire in 70 CE. It was a time that shaped many of the central doctrines and practices of Judaism, while also witnessing the emergence of various sects and schools of thought. Around 538 BC, the Babylonian Empire and the Jewish people became subjects of the Persian Empire. During the reign of the Persian Emperor Cyrus, he recognized the need to establish a military outpost in Palestine. This region holds a strategically important position, serving as a bridge between West Asia and North Africa. The Levant could serve as an ideal springboard to attack Egypt, while also acting as a buffer zone against invasions from Greece in the east. Therefore, King Cyrus made the decision to grant freedom to the Jewish people exiled in Babylon, permitting them to return to their homeland of Jerusalem. The temple was rebuilt, and at the same time, the final version of the Hebrew Bible was compiled. The rebuilding of the Jerusalem temple took approximately 20 years, and its inauguration was held in 515 BC. This marks the beginning of the period known in historical texts as the Second Temple period. After returning from Babylon, the Jews modeled their religious hierarchy on the Persian system to establish a priestly class, the foundation of which was the Jewish scholars. From that point, a unified political religious practice emerged, becoming a defining characteristic in the religious history of the Palestinian region. The fourth period of northern domination in Vietnamese history, under Ming dynasty rule, is also referred to as the period of Han subjugation. After the period of Persian domination in the 5th century AD, the land of Canaan once again fell under the rule of the Macedonian Empire during the reign of Alexander the Great from 336 to 323 BC. During this period, the fusion of traditional Jewish culture and Greek culture profoundly influenced Jewish civilization, and helped the Jews here establish a unique culture, one that was deeply Jewish yet infused with distinctive Greek characteristics. When the Syrian Seleucid dynasty imposed numerous religious suppression measures and forbade Jews from practicing their faith in the land of Palestine, a Jewish revolt led by the Maccabees broke out in 166 BC. The uprising was victorious, and the rebel forces gained control of the Judea region. The name of the Kingdom of Judah in Greek and Latin at that time was Judea, when it became a province of the Roman Empire. The Maccabees subsequently rose to power, establishing the Hasmonean dynasty, which ruled from 164 BCE to 63 BCE. Not only did they reinforce the faith of the Jewish people, but they also expanded the territory of Judea through conquests while simultaneously curbing the influence of Hellenistic culture. Also during this same period in the 2nd century AD, from a small kingdom founded in 753 BC. With settlements around Palestine Hill along the banks of the Tiber River in central Italy, Rome grew into a powerful empire. After defeating the Macedonian and Seleucid empires in the 2nd century BC, the Roman Empire had by then become the dominant power in the Mediterranean region and opened the path for advancement into the Middle East. At this point, Lama's people had also set their sights on Judea. The diaspora lasted for 2,000 years. From the 1960s onward, the Jewish Hasmonean kingdom gradually weakened due to internal conflicts and ultimately fell under Roman domination. However, it was the tyranny and brutality of the Roman Empire that drove the Jewish people to rise up in armed rebellion time and again. In 66 AD, tensions between the Jews and Romans in Judea reached a breaking point and erupted into a Jewish revolt against the Roman Empire. Initially, the Jews held the upper hand, but the situation completely reversed in 68 AD. At this moment, the imperial preceptor, the Lama of Emperor Titus, had seized the initiative. In the summer of 70 AD, the Roman army under General Titus defeated the Jewish rebels and captured the city of Jerusalem. At that time, thousands of Jews were killed or taken into slavery, and the Temple of Jerusalem was completely destroyed. The majority of the remaining Jewish people were exiled and scattered across the territories of the Roman Empire. This event marked the second diaspora of the Jewish people and also signified the end of the Second Temple period. At the same time, this event also marked the collapse of the Judea area as the center of Jewish community life. From that moment, the Jewish people began a nearly 2,000-year exile, dispersed across countries throughout the world. Following the period of Roman Empire rule, this region remained under the control of the Byzantine Empire from 313 to 636. From the 7th century until 1948, the land of Canaan, where Palestine is located today, was ruled by the Arabs from 636 to 1091. This was followed by the Seljuk dynasty from 1091 to 1099, succeeded by the Crusaders from 1099 to 1291, and finally the Mamluks from 1291 to 1516. From 1517 to 1917, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. Finally, the area was under British control from 1917 to 1948, while Arabs remained the majority community in the region. Since 1948, the land of Canaan or Palestine has been divided into two states: the State of Israel for the Jewish people and the State of Palestine for the Palestinian Arabs. After 2,000 years of wandering, the Jewish people finally have a country of their own, yet it seems to be a curse in disguise. Why do Jewish people, despite having their own state, still live in instability? And why is the Middle East region where they reside currently one of the most unstable areas in the world? Anti-Semitism is a hostile attitude, prejudice, or discrimination directed against Jewish people as a religious, ethnic, or racial group. Its manifestations can range from individual hatred to organized acts of oppression. In its most extreme form, it is espoused by ultra-nationalists and racists, and it has been the cause of large-scale persecutions and genocides. Throughout thousands of years of wandering history, the Jewish people have not only endured the plight of displacement but have also continuously faced anti-Semitism throughout their existence and development. This is a sensitive issue, so I will present it in just 5 minutes, aiming for the most neutral and objective approach possible. Anti-Semitism, also known as anti-Semitism, is one of the forms of prejudice and hostility that many communities direct toward Jewish people, and it can manifest in various different forms. The history of anti-Semitism is defined by hostile acts and discrimination targeting Jews as an ethnic or religious group. This issue emerged centuries ago, when anti-Semitism was considered the most persistent and ancient form of hatred. Currently, many scholars have identified the development of anti-Semitism as having progressed through 6 stages. The first stage is pre-Christian anti-Semitism in ancient Greece and Rome, which was primarily ethnic in nature. The second phase is religiously motivated anti-Semitism, which existed from ancient times throughout the medieval period. This is the period when anti-Semitism took on a religious character and persisted well into the modern era. The third phase can be understood as anti-Semitism within Islam. The fourth stage represents anti-Semitism in the economic sphere. The fifth stage is racial anti-Semitism, which emerged in the 19th century and reached its peak with the rise of Nazism, National Socialism. And the sixth stage is contemporary anti-Semitism, also referred to by some as the new anti-Semitism. From these 6 stages, we can generalize into 3 main types. The first is ancient anti-Semitism, the nature of which is ethnic antagonism. Christianity's religiously tinted anti-Semitism, and ultimately, racial anti-Semitism. A single video would not suffice to analyze each stage in depth, so we will only provide a general overview of racial anti-Semitism in the 20th century. For the remaining topics, I'll see you all in an upcoming video, which will only be about 5 minutes long. Jewish people have endured significant discrimination throughout history, with the 20th century being considered the darkest period for this ethnic group. From 1900 to 1924, approximately 1.75 million Jewish people immigrated to the United States, the majority of whom came from Eastern European countries. This group departed to escape the large-scale anti-Jewish pogrom riots in the Russian Empire. Particularly in Germany, specifically right after Nazi leader Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party came to power in 1933. The government passed repressive laws aimed at depriving Jews of their basic civil rights. In September 1935, Nazi Germany enacted the Nuremberg Laws, which prohibited marriage between those of Aryan descent and Jews. According to the ideology of Nazi Germany, the Aryan was defined as the master race. After that, the German government stripped all Jews of their citizenship. Finally, anti-Jewish laws, along with hostile agitation and propaganda, were extended to the European territories occupied by Germany. Alongside this, the Nazis also maintained a system of concentration camps across all the territories they controlled before and throughout the Second World War. The first concentration camps were established in Germany in March 1933, shortly after Adolf Hitler became Chancellor. One of the most heinous crimes committed by the Nazis against the Jewish people was the Holocaust massacre. This event occurred during World War II, when 6 million Jews across Europe were captured by the German Nazis, taken to concentration camps, and killed. The Holocaust is regarded as the most profound psychological wound for the Jewish people, while also being a pain for all humanity and for Germany itself in the 20th century. To this day, the mere mention of Nazi Germany immediately brings the Holocaust to mind, and vice versa. Which ethnic group currently holds dominant power in the world? It is widely known that, throughout history, Jewish people have been renowned for their exceptional business acumen. That could never explain how they managed to survive 2,000 years of exile. And the growth of Israel today stands as the clearest testament to their talent. Additionally, the Jewish community in America is also a prime example of their success. The Jewish community